Hi guys. This is the second of four image competition preview type um, Zooms that we're going to have on all this. Our first one is available on YouTube. The link is on our YouTube, on our Facebook webpage, which is FPP members and friends. If you're not a member of that, go up there and put your name in to join it. That's also where we put out a lot of information about everything else, competition included. My name is Michael Peterson. I'm not going to put a lot of the stuff in that I had before. I'm the competition manager this year for FPP. I love competition. I'm going to pull up some dates here in a minute to show you as well. I do want to start off really early. We have a few. Just introduce yourself and just tell us something really small. What you shoot, just your name and what you like to shoot. Anyone? Ariel.
Ariel and I shoot people.
Mark McCulfer, and I shoot people also.
Jonathan Lee, and my moneymaker is real estate, but I shoot a lot of things.
Lee?
Hello. Retired. I photograph landscapes, animals, wildlife, and the universe.
Cool. Hello, I'm Danny. I'm South Florida based, and I photograph weddings and events mostly, but I'm starting to make a switch over to more headshots and branding style photography.
And I'm
So,
Derek Edwards, and I shoot travel and vacation.
I'm
anyone? Is
Veronica. I am driving actually, but I do portraits.
that everyone? Okay, so this kind of shows you the broad spectrum kind of pictures that we have. We have a spot everywhere in our competition for every one of those pictures to go. Now, when you do enter pictures, and I do believe I'll show you, there are plenty of categories. Try to place your images in the correct category. Two reasons is when the judge sees the category, it kind of has to see if it fits. One, we need to know if it's going to get disqualified or not. But when it comes down to award time, you will have less of a chance if you have the wrong kind of image in the wrong category. So if you're shooting, a landscape and you put it into a portrait category, you're obviously not going to win an award in that category. I do my best to help beforehand, make sure you're in the same category, but I can't guarantee everything. Does everybody have my email address at least? Maybe. Okay. You want to write it down? Well, here, I'll tell you what.
I can put it in the chat.
There you go. We'll put it in the chat.
Thanks.
That would be best. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing screens here. I didn't want to share for some reason. Okay. It's going to be bouncing all over the place. Screen one. All right, you're probably staring at each other. Let's see. All right, can you see that?
Yes, you probably want to
Not
do
my
your display
desktop, right?
settings. Yeah, we see your presenter mode.
I figured I got the wrong desktop. Sometimes this thing hates me. I have a two window thing going here, so sometimes it just bear with me, guys. Share. And two. Share. You probably still see the same thing.
We see your presentation and we see the presentation now.
Just the presentation. Okay. So
Correct.
welcome to Image Competition and Merit Review. We've split it up a little bit. As an explanation, we do have an image competition where you're competing against yourself and then for awards at the end of the convention. But we also call it a merit review because you can receive information as we're going and afterwards to help you make your images better. And I'll talk a little bit about merits and degrees as well as we go. I can't see your guys' faces, so Mark, if you'll see someone raise their hand, just let me know.
Sure will.
That's me. Big deal. Yada, yada, yada. These are all my degrees that I have, which we can talk about. This is our photographic degree, our artist degree. This is the PPA photography degree and the master artist degree. So there's the dates if you're interested in more of the Zoom meetings. They're also up on our homepage and also on the Facebook group. Image competition and merit review. These are your important dates. Registration opens on the 24th. Okay. It's $20 an image to enter competition. May 24th is the last day for that early bird registration for the $20. May 25th to June 12th is $30 to enter your images. Now, all of your images have to be uploaded by June 12th. Now, that being said, if you can you see my mouse? Probably not. There we go. If you entered something in this time frame, you can make changes all the way up until June 12th. So if you put something in and you go, I missed something, I want to change something, you can go right back in and I can kind of show you how to do it. We don't have ours online yet. If you come to the May 31st one, I'll be able to show you more of the updating. We're not online until April 24th. And then we start our judging, which is online, which you also have access to watch on printcompetition.com, and we will also have audio. Questions? Nope. Bit of a name change, like I've said in the last one. It's not just a competition, it's for you to learn about your images. Yes, you're competing, but I consider it competing against myself. How do I do better? How do I listen to judges and whatnot? How do I compare myself to others? The only competition part of this in the end is who gets a trophy and who doesn't get a trophy. I'm in it for me. If I get a trophy, that's just, a bonus for me. I would love to get a trophy, don't get me wrong. You'll get scored on how well your image rates compared to the 12 elements of an image. How many people don't know what the 12 elements are? I can't see you, so you have to say yes, no. Everybody knows? Mark, is everybody shaking their head yes or no?
You can remind me.
I'm coming up on it then. I was just going to skip it if everybody knew what it was. And you can work for your degrees I told you about. So these are the 12 elements of an imaging competition. I can't take credit for this little chart, but I love it, so I borrowed it. If I ever find out whose it is, I'll give them credit. These are the 12 elements that are used, and they're kind of broken down by their purpose and how they are. All of them come to the main thing that I agree with is impact. What is the impact of your image? It's not just a snapshot. You're not out taking pictures of your dog and your child swinging on the swing. What is your sole point of this image? What are we trying to tell the judge? Your center of interest should always be the first thing that your judge sees. That's what we want them to see. We don't want them to lose your subject in a bunch of parts. And composition. Composition can fall all the way down from the rule of thirds, if you know what that is, on the left side, right side, third of the screen, upper or lower. Something that kind of blends together. Your style. Everybody has a style. My style will not match yours, nor Sandra Pierce has like a style of her own, even though she's starting to teach people. They're going to look into your style compared to see if how well you are against other people in that same category necessarily. And your creativity. What have you taken from this picture that makes it different? more creative. You and I can take pictures of the same thing, but what makes yours better than mine? Coloring is a big part of any picture, making sure that not only do you have your color matching and whatnot, but that it isn't dull or too bright or such. Um, Presentation, that's matting, which is what I'm going to talk about at different ways of matting. And realistically, I do a pretty easy, simple mat. There are a million ways to do mats. I do a simple border, which can take you 3 minutes to do at most. Lighting is very important, especially for portraits. But not only that, landscape, how you're getting your sun work and everything. Lighting will make and break an image. Technique. What techniques do you use? Are you more painterly with an art brush? Are you more technical, making sure everything is right? They all fall under that technical excellence, all of those. And then finally, your subject matter. What are we shooting? I mean, are we shooting a car or a lake or things like that? What are you trying to show to the judge? Because in the end, if you're entering PPA competition, your car picture or your portrait picture in the end could be going up against each other for the $10,000 prize that they have. We don't have that $10,000 prize. And storytelling. Storytelling is trying to tell the story of your image. What do we want the judge to look at? What are they seeing? If they can make a story out of something, then it makes a big deal. And finally, impact. Impact comes down to what's the main purpose? Questions. Anybody know Mike's 13th element of an image in competition except for the ones I've told? Mark, anybody raising their hand?
Nope, you've stumped them all.
It's the title. Every image you enter into competition has to have a title of some form. So what that is part of your storytelling is part of your impact. So just because you have a landscape and it's Mount Fuji, your title, if you put Mount Fuji on, the judge will go, yep, that's Mount Fuji. But maybe you can say, I don't know, who does landscape? Tell me a title you would use for a mountain. Just make something up. What are you
Wonderful.
looking for when you take pictures of a mountain?
Good perspective.
Okay.
Sunrise, sunset, contrast.
What makes your picture better than someone else's? I mean, you can do a lighting on a certain way, a different way of doing things. A title will help so much. We used to have what's called loans back then. They're called image excellence. And I had an image in there that I really liked, and I'm not going to go into it, but it went up to become a loan or image excellence, and it had to be voted on again. And the title I gave it actually boosted me up so that I got that loan. Because one of the judges looked at the title and had to tell all the other judges, look, this is what the whole story is about. And because I had a great title, and I'm not going to say I do great titles, that was just a lucky one, I think. But storytelling and a title mean a lot. And as I see any images, we'll go along there. What do judges look for? Originality. They want to see what is new of your work and not more of the same of what everybody has. There's plenty of pictures in the caves in Colorado that are all the same. I can't remember the name of the one that has the light come through it. Horseshoe Bend, there's like 6 million of those pictures, or even a copy of an image. There are people that will stare at an image and trying to find a way to remake that image. That's not very original. Story, what's the goal? Are we seeing kids out playing, a house on fire with firefighters rushing in? How are you telling me that story? So if I'm a judge and I'm looking at that, you need to give me something. What's the story of why this is happening? And technical excellence, no cloning marks. Everybody know what a cloning mark is. That's when you're trying to cover up one thing and you end up copying over with your little copy tool. Now Photoshop does a good job of doing it for you, but you can end up with cloning marks. So you have two of the same things going across your picture. Coloring, make sure that there's no banding. Banding is colors around edges. Sharpness, if it's a blurry picture, try and find a new one. There's new software out there. I use some of the software to sharpen up stuff too, but if it's really blurry, move on.
What about shallow depth of field?
As in,
A creative choice.
creative choices are great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a shallow depth of field, as long as it doesn't overtake the subject. Like a lot of people will take it too far. If your story, if it's in your story of why that is, that's the point where you kind of explain that into it, part of it.
What
Some
about
people
things
buy
like ICM, which is basically all blurry?
say that again,
ICM,
ICM.
ICM. It's like abstract.
Well, that's different. I mean, I guess where I'm going to go at is you have to watch out for the people that buy the 1.8 lens and they want to use it at 1.8 and they do a portrait of someone and one eye isn't focused and the other one isn't because they're all the way down at 1.8 or down to 1.2. Um, like Lee just said though, for landscape and for animals, you really want the majority of it in focus.
Okay.
If it's but I mean, there's many ways around that. If you show what you're doing it, but a lot of times, if you do look at an image like I don't know, of a horse, I kind of expect it all to be in focus. That kind of make sense? If you're taking a picture, like I said, out in with mountains and whatnot, yeah, the front part of your picture would obviously be out of focus, but not a mistake out of focus. Would kind of make a little sense.
Yep.
Okay. Where am I now? What to watch out for? Once again, no cloning marks. Coloring fits across the image, blur, same thing I said to look out for before. These are issues, and you will find them in every competition there is. Correct upload size. We're going to be talking about that. If you do too big of an image, I will DQ you. I will let you know, but they will not load well on the computers if they're too big. If they're too small, sometimes they don't fit. We still blow them up to the same size as a monitor, though you could lose detail in that. So if I see it, and I do go through it, but they slip through, I will try and warn you, hey, get in and change your image before it's too late. Naming. We talk about naming, and you have to watch out for things like that. Don't use common things like blue suede shoes, or like I said, Mount Fuji, or if it's a song, it's probably not a good idea. If it's a foreign language, it's probably not a good idea, or at least if it's the name of something similar to that. If it's hard to understand, that's a hard one because we have a person that reads off the titles. And many times they'll try and read off the title, but they can't because it's in a foreign type language. And try not to use a whole lot of other characters, exclamation points or dots or whatever, unnecessary. Short is good too, not a ton of words. And don't try and get carried away on the naming. And try and make sure you have a title because that's points off for no title. This is FPP scoring. Our scoring is similar to a IPC. Sorry, this is FPP scoring. It's similar to a IPC with PPA used to score. So when your images go up for competition, you have between 1 and 100. Okay, anything 80 and above is a merit, which I'll talk about a degree in a second, but it's a merit. So it's deserving of a merit, 80 to 84. Excellence is 85 to 89. Superior is 90 to 94. I obviously have these numbers backwards. And exceptional is 95 to 100. Anything below 80 is not a merit. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad image. I've never really seen maybe 3 pictures that go below a 73. I consider that mean, and we talk to the judges when we see something like that. So you shouldn't see anything below those images. Now you might be a good hangout spot for an image that doesn't necessarily merit is 77 to 79. That doesn't mean your image is bad. That means the judges probably saw something that needs kind of fixed or things like that. They may have talked about it during competition. There's no guarantee that the judges will, hang on, that they will talk about your image. But you can also purchase when you enter your competition images a critique of your image. And one of the judges that judges your image, it will actually be one of those judges. They will video record a critique of your image, and they should be showing it at the same time. And they'll say, "Hey, this is what, if you got like a 78, this is what I saw when I did your image. I saw, you didn't do your borders, or I can see blurriness, I can see splotchiness, things like that." So if you're interested in image, maybe you don't think it's going to merit, or maybe you think it's going to be close, or another one is you're going to enter it into PPA competition. It's great to go ahead and get this critique right away, which we try and get them as fast as we can so you can move on. Now, 80 and above is a merit. These merits will go towards degrees. I'm going to talk more about that when you guys can actually see me. But somebody remind me, don't let me forget that because it's not on the slideshow. Questions about scoring. All this scoring is done by those 12 elements I told you about. There's going to be different kinds of judges. Judges judge differently. So I want to go through that in some of the images and see what you guys think as well. Oopsie. It's bad when the host doesn't turn his phone on. Does that mean I owe everybody drinks at Focus? Is that what it is? Nobody's laughing at my jokes. Are you guys there? I can't see you.
We're laughing, but we're laughing mutedly.
All right, so here's some of the rules you need to remember. These are important. So if you are taking any notes, that's fine. These rules are also on the fpponline.com website. The entire set of rules is up there for you to go through. Dimensions must be sized equal to 4,000 pixels on the longest side. It doesn't mean both sides have to be 4,000. Just the longest one has to be 4,000 pixels. Everybody get that? Mark, did everybody understand that? I'll be showing it again as an actual
Yes.
graphic.
Yes, thanks.
You were asking about albums. Album entries must be zipped up into a file with all pages, including any cover or title image contained in one file for online submission. Each page spread in the design must be sized 4,000 pixels on the longest side. Okay. We'll have to look up how many you need. I think it's Lee, is it 20 images for an album?
Yeah, I believe it's a minimum of 20. And also you got to check the longest side is different from 4,000.
It is. These are
It's like
straight from the rules.
2,800.
Huh?
It's like 2,800, something like that. You got to double check that because
Okay.
it's the panel width of the album book itself.
All right, well, don't hold me to that, guys. These are just the rules that I had. So I will double check on that. My email is up there, so if you have any questions about albums or anything like that, go ahead and email me now, and I'll check into that later, and I'll give you the answer, and then we'll get the rules changed. There's no file naming rules when uploading images, unlike BPA. Just don't put your name on it. It gets randomized anyway. Just don't take that chance. Don't put your name on anything. Okay? Nowhere on the cover, nowhere on the picture, nowhere. File naming of albums, you can see one zip file. Each page of the album should be individually named according to the 2-digit number. So you'll need to do 01, 02, 03 so that they are in the correct order when they are presented to the judges. Once again, no naming requirements for the zip file, except I wouldn't put my name on. No questions? All right. This is what I mean, 4,000 by 4,000 pixels. Okay. That one is a square 4,000 by 4,000. A lot of my images are 4,000 by 4,000, but they do not have to be. This one is not. It's 4,000 by 2,459. It doesn't matter as long as that one dimension is 4,000. If it's not, it'll either going to be upsized or downsized, and both you could end up with, more pixelated items and things like that. Everybody understand? You can have anywhere in between as long as one of them is 4,000. Is good? Guide images are not to be included on any entry in photographic open review, but are required for all entries in artistic open review. What that means, and I'll show you an image later, if you don't take the picture in photographic, if you're putting stuff in it that's not yours, you don't put it in. But end of story. It has to be your picture. Nobody else's picture, no stock, no nothing. But in artistic, you're allowed to put in different things to make it look better or different or whatever, but they have to be put in the mat. And I do believe I have an image in here, and if I don't, I'll talk about it more in a little bit. Mainly it means you put your image on the mat, but then those little pieces that you added to it also are put on as well. I will get to that. 1 to 10 of the entries are allowed for each degree classification. So you can have 10 in the photographic excellence. What is that, Mark? Mark, what is that? What link did you put up,
Don't
Mark?
worry, I just linked to the
Rules.
instructions for the merit review, image
Okay.
competition merit review.
So you can enter 10 entries max into each one, whether you're going for your photographic or artist degrees. But even if you're not going for a degree, you can only enter up to 10 of each for a total of 20. So we offer awards at the end of the convention. If you have to enter at least 6 images in either art or photographic. It doesn't matter which ones you put it in, and you merit one of them, scored an 80 or above, just one. You are qualified to win a prize at the award ceremony at Focus. You actually have to be there. There's going to be about $5,000 worth of prizes available this year at Focus. So it behooves you to enter 6. You enter 5, no prize. And the prizes are pretty nice. Everybody caught up so far? Okay. Here's all the categories. Mark gave you the link to all these, but you can see this is photographic. And we break it down so there's separation between them. And this is mostly for the awards, but it also gives you ideas of all of them. Everything should be tasteful. I'm going to say that right off the bat, male, female. So you have portrait of a man, portrait of a woman, a child, portrait of a group, environmental portrait, that's on location, not in a studio or anything like that, where the environment is significant to the image. Out in a forest, at the beach, things like that. Something that makes that image different than maybe something in a studio. And portrait of a pet. Portraits of pets are animals in a controlled environment, studio or a zoo. Now, granted, it's not a pet if it's in a zoo, but what it means is they got nowhere to go, unlike if you're out in the wild, where you get a harder chance of getting those pictures. So, any dogs, cats, things like that, go to a zoo with elephants, giraffes, things like that. Those fit in this. This is still photographic. It's illustrative. It's abstract subject matter. I can't remember who was asking about it, but it might not look like a picture at all by the time you're done. We've seen pictures of people using spoons and distorting them and making them into aliens and all kinds of different things. As long as it's your images, then that's fine. Landscape, pretty simple. Anything outside that you can have people in or not, mountains, the ocean, things like that. Cities. wild animals, this is what I was talking about, uncontrolled lighting environment. So you can be going to Africa or even, in the mountains here, things like that. And we have open. So you have an image that doesn't fit into any of these categories. Open is where it goes. We good on all the categories? Any questions about where you might put an image? You guys are easy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I just jumped in. Um, Mike, when maybe you've already answered this, but when they go through, when people enter their images,
Mhm.
do you go through and make sure that they are in the correct categories, or is that up to the maker?
I do my best. So, is that you, Dana?
Yeah, it is. I'm
I
sorry.
can't see people right now.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
me.
my
Hi.
best.
That's okay.
So, from the time that we enter up to close to when it closes, I'll give you that I will. As it gets
Okay.
closer, I will do my best to go in and make those things for you. You will
Mhm.
need to change the categories. I will not change a category. You have to do it for yourself. But
Okay.
I'll try and reach out to you and say, hey, you put this dog in wild animals, or you put this wild animals in dogs,
Mm-hmm.
or you put an abstract, or you put an image into abstract that doesn't belong there. You guys, they'll still get judged. You will be DQ'd on those animal ones, though. You'll
Mm-hmm.
lose out. You don't get your money back. So if you don't enter it, and you might do a lot better as a score. And you weren't here for the other. If your image is too small or too large, I also try my best to let the person know, hey,
It's really nice. Yeah. Okay.
take
I just know
it.
that
We want
sometimes
everyone to
you,
do, I don't want anyone to be DQ'd or have anyone's image altered just because of rules and things like that.
yeah.
We want to
Hey,
give
Mike.
everybody the best opportunity they can to have their image look the way it should and be where.
Perfect.
Hey,
Thank you.
Mike, this is Gary. On that, doesn't the judges have the ability to move it to another panel if they choose to?
It is what it is. By that point, we're already where we are.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if PPA does that, but once we're already in that category, they don't have the chance really to do that, because then we can't change the print competition stuff, the naming of where it belongs.
All right.
Everything's
Copy that.
locked in by that point. So that's why I said I will do my utmost best. I'm going to check like once a day to make sizes, and I can almost guarantee I will should be able because I can just skim really quickly. But then towards the end, I will say, I'll look in the ones that I'm pretty sure we'll have an issue with. I mean, if I can look at man and you got a woman in there or portraited a group, might be wrong, things like that. If you put something environmental portrait and it doesn't have anything to do with environmental, I can't change that. And I won't tell you to, I mean, if I can, that's great, but maybe that's how you thought it should have went, or should have gone. So, uh, I do my best to try and make sure everybody is where it is because I don't want to see someone not merit or not win an award because they were put in the wrong category. Any questions on these photographic stuffs? Just so you know, Dana, I can't see people. I've already had Mark. So if you see stuff, I have a dual monitor system here, so I can't see
Oh,
people.
I have a question.
it's okay. I was just getting ready to get out. I
Oh,
haven't, I'm sorry. I wanted to pop in and say hello and ask a question. And then I have an appointment at 3. So
okay. Well, hopefully that answered your question.
it did. And thank you for doing this too, Mike.
Okay.
This is really
Nope.
awesome.
No problem. See you soon.
I did have
Thanks.
a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Um, if you do, because when I think of landscape, I think of grandscapes, but where do things like macro and nature, where do those go?
I
Open?
would probably put it in open.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit anywhere else.
There's no like
Um,
nature spot.
you could. You can also have it in nature. Do we have a nature?
I didn't see
I mean,
one.
you can do an environmental. That's a portrait. Sorry. Um, landscape. But to be honest, I would probably just put it in open. Open is just the category for everywhere that it doesn't quite fit, and we get a lot of entries in open. So if it doesn't quite fit somewhere, You can also put it in landscape because it's part of a if it looks like it's outside or things like that. I would push it
Or
more
just stick
towards
it in commercial
open.
like everybody else does.
Huh?
Or
So
just stick
Good
it in
question.
commercial like everybody else does.
I'm trying to sell it. If it was me, I would put it in open.
Mike,
If it looks more landscape-ish, then I would put it in landscape.
excuse me, Mike.
I haven't gotten to commercial yet, just so everybody knows. Go ahead.
This is Danny from Miami,
Hi.
from South Florida. Just a quick question. I tend to do a lot of silhouette style portraits incorporating landscapes and seascapes and stuff like that, but they're in silhouette mode style. It would that can also be it could that could be a portrait or it could
Well,
be
what's your goal of the image? What's your story of the image? What are you trying to share? Is it
good.
the
That's
is
a
it
good
the
question.
portrait? Is it the uh person, man, woman, or whatever, or is it the landscape, or both? Is it important for the way you do the person where it is? If you
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like it kind of like a romantic style portrait, for instance, but in silhouette. So the landscape adds to the image, the seascape adds to the image, as well as the composition, the posing of the people, how they're looking at each other and whatnot, to make it into a silhouette.
then I would probably say environmental portrait. If the
Okay.
background is what helps your picture, then that is an environmental portrait.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
if you're putting something out there, if um, you have a gold miner that's out, you took a picture, you planned this picture of an old gold miner and he's out painting for gold, that would be environmental portrait because what's happening in the mountain stream or whatever is what it's all about with your old man. Now you could still put it in portrait of a man. But to me, that would be a little better positioning.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Make sense? Okay. Who else? These are confusing, and like I said, if I'm just so everybody knows, I'm going to see your images. Obviously, I have nothing to do with them. I don't talk to anybody about them. Nobody else sees them. But if you have questions about your images, you are more than welcome to ask me. I will say that I am judging in June at West Palm Beach. So if you're in West Palm Beach, please tell me so I don't know your images. Like I said, I'm not judging anywhere else, but I don't want to know it's yours ahead of time. So if you know anyone at West Palm Beach, and I will be talking to them as well beforehand, I just want you to know. Is that good? It's good. So last set, we did that. And now you have commercial. Commercial's a weird one. Okay. Advertising illustration. It's an image created to advertise a product or service. Tear sheet is recommended. Tear sheet is kind of saying this is what it would look like as an image. I'm selling it to a magazine. I think we had one last year that was a car and it had like the Ford symbol on it. So it's kind of like they were trying to sell the car. That's an advertising illustration. Can be anything. I'm not just talking a car. Um, so it doesn't quite fit, but it's supposed to be advertising something. It doesn't mean it's an image like that. So house for sale, things like that. Just remember, advertising a product or service. That that one's an interesting one. Does anyone have questions on that one? It's an odd subject. So if you do have questions about that one, a lot of things fit in it, but you have to make sure that it looks like it's advertising a product or service. Because before we start competition, I go over these rules again with the judges so they understand which each of these groups mean. Architectural, it's pretty basic category. Any pictures inside or outside of a structure? I will say lighting is very, very, very important on architecture. So are angles and lines and things like that. So it has to have a purpose for architectural, a building, cool leading lines, or a house that, has great views or something like that. Industrial, that's your image is created in an industrial environment. This is not you using a stock image of an industrial environment and putting your portrait in it. You actually have to have created it in an industrial environment. Kind of hard to do in Florida. We don't have too many places, but uh, we're not talking to studio. And photojournalism, okay, storytelling, editorial image produced in a non-studio environment for commercial media. That photojournalism is an image that you barely change. You can crop it, you can adjust the pictures a little bit. That's it. It's like you're submitting it to a newspaper, which we don't do that much anymore, or a website or things like that. The image I said earlier would be like a fireman running into a burning building, or you're on vacation and you see something of people trying to live their daily life. It's got to be the original image. And if there's any question about it, we're going to ask you for the original image, the original raw image that you used to take that picture.
Then Mike, you need to change the rules because that's not in the rules
What's that?
about making changes.
It's photojournalism based on PPAs. I can add it to it, but photojournalism is just that.
What about branding, which is portraits for commercial use?
Give me an example.
A personal branding shoot where you're on location and you're taking up just a photograph of a woman having a glass of wine or something. I don't know.
So does it look like maybe she's doing a magazine ad?
She would then use it for something in her own advertising. Could be client
That's
journey.
still advertising a service, whatever she's doing. We don't know what she's doing.
Okay.
If you have that picture of someone and she's lounging back and if she's going to be using that for something, if it looks like it's advertising something, then yeah, that's a good place for it. Trust me, like I said, when I see them and I look at them, I'll give you a little better hints on it. I know you don't want to talk about much while you're on a Zoom with people, but um, it needs to at least semi look like you're advertising it.
Sorry to interrupt. In regards to what she just mentioned, believe her name Ariel, and for instance, it brought to mind the photo that I did for a restaurant tour in like a wine cellar that I photographed him with the racks of wines behind him and whatnot. Is that what you meant? Is that
Well,
what you
yeah, if you had an image of a woman standing in front of a wine rack, as a judge, would I look at it and go, maybe this is an ad for selling her wine?
Okay.
Would that image, I'm just asking you that bit. Is that kind of what that would look like to me?
Um,
It's
in,
just,
in my case, with the image that I created, it was just trying to make him look. My goal was given that feel that the assortment of wines that he had in his restaurant, and that grandiose elegance of the connection of you're not going to just mom and pop down the street to get a bite to eat type of look.
so he's selling a service of his restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and this is where you're going to give me that title that gives me that story. So if you have this picture of a man, I haven't thought about your picture at all, and I'm not even going to try, but better than mom and pops or something that kind of gives me a story as to why I should be going there instead of somewhere else.
So there is no commercial portrait category.
No,
Okay.
no. Portraits are just portraits. These are where you at? These are all the portraits. Now
If
that
it's
doesn't mean
a
you
style
can't use
shot,
that picture we were just talking about.
if it's a lifestyle shot, that's more environmental, correct?
Once again, it falls down to the picture. It's a until I know what it kind of looks like.
Okay.
Reach out to me.
It's about the
Everyone
person.
can see. I guess there's my email address anyway. So
Okay.
um,
And,
reach out to
and
me.
my and the experience I've seen, typically if it's a personal branding type stuff,
Yes.
typically falls under environmental portrait because it's
Yeah.
usually selling the person in their environment.
Right.
Whereas commercial would be leaning a little bit more towards some
Product.
type of a product or a service that you're, putting forward in the messaging of that image.
The
And
subject.
once again, that image that was talking about with the wine all across the back, it can fit in a lot of different places, but that title will make the decision for a lot of it, depending on what they say.
What the
So
subject
if we're
is.
talking about the business by talking about the fancy wine and the fancy case, then the judge is going to know that's what this is about. But if you just give something, like, and these are really bad titles, uh, first night out on a fancy date, that's more talking about him or her than it is the wine. That's just basics. I can't, without telling you.
Fine.
That's where me as a judge, I would go, this is the direction they wanted to go instead of this. And once again, it's in that commercial category, but you're not going to get dinged for necessarily being in the wrong category on something like that. The judge is really going to look at that image and that title. They don't have time to try and figure out the categories as much. They'll do their best. They will know what category they're going into, but that's more award based to the categories. So tell that story. Tell me why this person is in front of the wine. Tell me why this person is in silhouette of the mountains. Tell me why I'm looking at a picture of a car. Is it a picture of a car? Is there a reason for it? Is it a brand new one? Things like that. Story is the one of the best things you can do. Title is right, let me know why I'm looking at this image. As a judge, you'll give me a lot of direction ahead of what you're trying to do. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
So we say a tear sheet included with any image. Once again, you do not need to send a tear sheet, but if we request something as to why, and like I said, we're going to know ahead of time the image if we have issues or not with it. So even though these are in the rules and they are for uploading, if we request something, then we'll call, and I will try and get a hold of you beforehand to find out. Otherwise, your image will be judged as what we see. Sound good? Social event. Once again, this is under photographic. Uh, weddings are broken down. These are pretty much social events. Wedding is a good example. You have formal portraiture, image of one or more individuals associated with a social event captured under direction of the photographer. This is not during the wedding. So this could be before the wedding or after the wedding, anything like that. But as the wedding is going on or an event is going on, like you could say a baseball game, if you're taking pictures of all the baseball players before or after, that is portraiture. If you do the event open, that's things when it's going on, bride walking down the aisle, anything that's happening, they're down there with the minister and the rings. That all falls under event open. So make sure that you're not like pre-staging an event and then trying to put it in the event open. Pretty sure I'm going to catch that one. And that one we will need to move. If you put it in the wrong place, that can be a DQ on this. If you try and put a staged image in with an event that's supposed to be, does that make sense? We don't want staged pictures in with something that's supposed to be going on. It's happened. And here's albums. Oh, he just left, didn't he? Shoot. An album is a minimum of 20 images in the album, and all images must have been captured on the event of the day. That's for an event. You can have a multi-maker. That's where you could have two people taking pictures. So I could be taking pictures and someone else can, we work together. But each maker must have at least 20 images in the album. So we're talking 40 of them. Non-event album, album depicting any subject is a minimum of 12 images. So that would be like Lee's, he would have to have had 12. And a multi-maker, if Lee had someone else taking pictures of the stars together, they each would need 12 in the album. That was pretty simple. Everybody get that one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But Mike, please check on the page of the albums, because I do believe from PPA and APC that, and even ours is like 2,800, 2,850 on the long end.
I'll look it up. I mean, these are the rules that have been around for a little while. So, but I'll
Okay.
make sure the rules might never have been changed before I got to them. So
Okay.
I don't know from, but I will get that and I will put a message up on the FPP members and friends page. And if anybody has a question about that, email me that. I'll have your email address and I'll let you know. I'll try and find out today or tomorrow. Artistic Open. There are only two categories in Artistic Open. Makes life easy on you. Digital restoration, which is something I like to do, but it's getting really hard for judges to judge because it's hard to tell if the maker is even doing the work anymore with the amount of AI that's doing it. So if you plan on doing digital restoration, you better have a pretty good looking image that looks like you did it. There's Photoshop does it, and a whole bunch of other category companies that do photo restoration work for you. Not necessarily for you, but easy for it to fix it for you. And digital art. Everything goes into digital art unless it's photo. I mean, unless it's registration. Digital restoration. Every single image, whether you make it. They must include guide images. I do believe I have a picture here. If not, we will find one and I will explain that when we get to it. Pretty simple. These two categories are for you to go against for your art degree and the art awards that we have.
So if you did multiple exposure in an artistic way, that would fit in that category.
If you took all the pictures and you're putting them together, are you talking like the same person in a picture?
No, I'm talking about you might merge two together, but like environmental, like I did a city scene with a waterscape and I merged them together. Would that be considered?
It's catch 22. You can go either way on it, but to be honest, if you show a lot of work in artistic, that goes a long way towards your score. So, and I'm going to show a few images like that, and we'll look at some others as well.
Okay.
Artistic is your main thing of showing how you took what you had and made it better. Photographic, a lot of that is what it took for you to make that image great to begin with. So on artists, we're going to take what we had and move it forward and add parts to it or, paint it or things like that. So it's kind of a catch-22. Depends on how you think it belongs. If you're just putting them together, you've just taken the pictures yourself, great. But if you put it in art and you're showing that I had this picture and I had this picture and I put them together and look how good I got them lined up and I got shading right and yada, 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 then the judge will see that hard work that you did.
Hey, Mike, this is Garrett. Hey, I apologize. Yes, ours is 4,000 for albums. It's the other organizations that have a different value for it.
Yeah, I thought they'd change, but we stayed the same.
Yeah, my apologies.
No problem. I just scribbled that up. One last thing I got to do. Okay, so here's printcompetition.com. We're going to go through it. I'm going to pull it up so you guys can actually see me doing it. This is where we do all of our entries and such. Is anybody not a member of printcompetition.com? I can't see everybody. Is there anybody not? Cool. We'll still look at some of it. I don't have to show this page then. So you're asking about art. I don't have all the images here. This image here, I could have gone photographic or art. And to be honest, the first time I entered it, I put it in photographic, even though you can see I painted it. Nothing changed. I did all kinds of different things. It had a white shirt, and I got a light blue shirt. I changed it to red. I did a lot of painting. I did a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't do that well in photographic because realistically, it is a little paint early. There's nothing wrong with that. But the judge sits there and goes, well, I don't know what all you did. I made one big change, and if you've seen this picture before, don't say anything, but I made one big change to this image that you might not know. Can anybody tell me? Those shoes I hand drew because the shoes she had on were ridiculous. So I just made my own shoes. I was able to show it later in the image what I did, and poof, I merited when I put it back in art. So I was able to show better light. It was a gray day, and a bunch of different things. So if you can show a ton of work and it looks like it belongs to an artist, I would put it in artist. So this is an artist image where I had to show all the bits and pieces. Now you can see it sitting on a mat, correct? But the upper right, and I submitted a painted version like the big one there, and it failed in photographic, just like the other one. And the response I got from my critique was, we don't know what work you did. I mean, you're not really showing a lot of work. And I did a lot because if you look at the hair here, it was stringy, nasty. She didn't do a very good job with that. I fault myself on some of the lighting. The color of the shirt, bright white, didn't quite match. So in talking with my wife, I said, she doesn't have any jewelry on or earrings. I took pictures of some of my wife's jewelry. It's my picture, but I showed it anyway because that shows this work that I did to put it on there. Am I proud of it right now? But it showed the extra work, how far I went out to get the image, and it merited both at FPP and PPA. And we'll talk about the strokes and the borders and everything coming up. Does this make sense for whomever was asking about adding these in? Adding guide images? I'll go yes. Once again, here's another artistic image where I took one picture. This is mine. That's it. This is stock photography, all this. Unfortunately, I tried to enter this twice in state and it didn't merit. And I tried to enter it in PPA and it didn't merit. And I think I'm just about done trying to get it to go through. I know it has issues. I've never gotten a critique on it though. So every time I have gotten a critique on it, they've all told me a different thing. So sometimes take it with a grain of salt, some of the things they say. This is a photographic image, but someone was talking about silhouettes and whatnot. Silhouettes tend to not do quite as good. But if you can show a little, like I left her glove in this, this wasn't a silhouetted picture. But I did want to kind of do that kind of a weird play on it, but you can still see her glove. So they kind of liked that and it merited. Price table at focus is what I was talking about. 6 images, art or photographic. All you need to do is merit one image. And that's it. Everybody understands 80 and above is a merit. Big prizes. At the end of the awards ceremony, we'll hold a random draw, totally random draw. It's just draw numbers. You're going to win the prize that has that number. We'll have everything from, I haven't said because I haven't bought stuff yet, but anything photography related and things like that. But I'm not saying what it is yet. But $5,000 in prizes, and there are going to be some nice ones. But you have to be there. That doesn't mean you have to pay to go to the convention, you can still pay to go to dinner or go to the award ceremony for free, but you have to be there in person for the draw. Okay, that's that at least. Any questions on what I did so far? I can see you
Mike?
guys now, so you can still see printcompetition.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Mike, can you talk about treatments a little bit?
Talk about what?
Treatment
For borders and
for
whatnot?
for the image and the stroke, and is
Yep,
there
we're going to do that. I'm
size?
actually going to do that in Photoshop.
Okay, perfect.
Is
Yep.
that absolutely necessary?
It is. I mean,
Okay.
it is not, but a judge will look at it and go, and I hate to say this word, lazy. You didn't take a little bit of time to give me that presentation. And I'm going to show you on here how easy it is to make one. Does not need to be fancy. As you go more on, you might be fancier. You might do other things. But a border you can really just do, like if you see right here, this image here. Oh, not logged in. Yeah.
It's just they want it to look like if you were doing an actual print presentation, it would be
Yes.
mapped. Okay.
That's what they want to see.
Okay.
So right now, before we get into any of that, I'm actually going to load up judging that's going on right now. Maybe.
But they're going through critiques right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Can you watch on there?
Yes. So when they're going, you saw when I loaded up. I don't know why it didn't load up their image. Here it is. You guys, can you see this? Can you see where it says ASP?
Yes.
Now your audio has to come through a different system.
Yeah. We will be supplying audio for you guys. We don't have audio here. So these are images that are going through right now. I don't know the ASP rules on borders. So some people put them on, some won't. But for we do. So you can see over here, he scored an 80 right here. So they take the average of the 5 judges' scores. So 2 judges scored him under 80, 3 judges scored him over 80. So right now, he scored all of them above 80. It's really not the same without audio. Now don't be surprised if you're doing your image and they don't say anything at all. But you can see here, they put a blue frame around it and they put a blue stroke. They're not always the same. You can make them any way you want.
Well, not any way you want.
Any way that looks good.
Well, let's say this, Mike. I just listened to my critiques on my images that I submitted.
Uh-oh.
And I did get nailed for having the borders not coincide in harmony with the image itself.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to get into that about where you do some of that.
Yeah, I did get nailed.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, if you do a border that's black is so distracting, it immediately takes away from the picture. So here's another image, not scoring too bad for a landscape. Got to give me a reason. I guess we don't get any. Oh, here you go. Yosemite Awakens. So it's not really telling me a lot. Just the 2 of us. That's a good title right there. It's just the 2 of us. Let's look at another one over here. The grandeur of it all. So pretty basic picture. Once again, look, no border. So you can hit a pointer there, a pointer 2 right there. Pretty basic picture. There's a good one.
There's some confusion right now because when you enter for IPC competition, you don't have to have a border.
That's
anymore.
different.
Yeah.
IPC competition, that's PPA's International Print Competition Awards. Those are pictures as you see them. You can't make modifications. You send them the raw. I think you can make a few minor changes, but there's no artistic benefit to it. You can put a border on it if you want, but they don't pay attention to that. It's straight photography. So you can see that one didn't do very good. Smoke and mirrors. I don't really see much there. So there's the leaders. So you can do all of this stuff while either ours are going on or someone else's. How do I get back? I can't see it. Thing keeps popping up. Get out of the way.
You're in game day. You got to go back out and go into your own.
I know I can't get into the.
Yeah.
It's the Zoom thing was covering it. So when you first come in, I can't show you guys how to put your images in because we haven't opened competition yet. It's a very self-explanatory. It shows you where you would put your image in, what category it goes in. You type the title, and you pay for it. And don't forget, you can make changes to them and re-upload, change the titles, change everything right up until that final date. Even if you've paid in advance, it doesn't change the price. So if you know you're going to enter 10 images, you can pay for 10 images before you're even done with them and save $10 a piece. Make sense? So if you're not a premium member, I'm a premium member, so you have access to everything. I recommend it. I think it's 15 a quarter, 19 a quarter. So little. You have access to a lot of different things. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull up the archives, and you can then search by anything you want. You can search by the year, you can search by the organization, you can search by the name. Let's do last year. Let's do 23's FPP. So now you can go and look at all the images that were put into FPP competition. Not only can you do that, somebody pick one. I don't care which one. Anyone. Okay, this one. So we pulled up Gigi's image here. There's your mat with your images. There's her score. If it had, come on, come on, come on. If it had audio that came with it, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear this. Can you hear this? Or not? Can you hear them talking?
Just, it's like you
Barely.
at the wrong time. It's like it was just stretching and you just took a picture at the wrong time.
So if you want to be able to listen in on other judging, you can do that as well. Oh, I don't want to go there. Stop. You can look up all your old images as well. You can do the pregame, which gives you guessing scores and things like that. Game day is what I just showed you. Gives you images of stuff being judged, what their scores are. And post game, you can, what I just showed you as well, in the archive. So you have to be a member of printcompetition.com, but it is free for you to do that. And premium membership is, Anthony, do you know, 15, 17 quarter? Good
I
question.
think 15.
15.
It's 17 a quarter, I believe, because I think I just got billed for it.
Oh, they went up.
Yeah,
How much did you say? 16?
17.
Okay. Hey, I had it right on one of them.
Yeah, I think it went up last year or the year before.
It's 19 now, based on
Is it 19 now?
Yeah,
Okay, I was wrong.
71 a year.
It's still not bad at being quarterly and you get all those things and you get access to all your images and all the other ones. I think it's worth it. It's not that much money quarterly. So I pulled up an image here. I made some changes. I put my name on it because we're going to have it in this Zoom and whatnot. This is one of my images. Okay. This is what, all right, let's go back here. This is one of my images, same one. And I built the border on it. You guys can see the border. That little other color is called a stroke, which is like the edge that you would have on a frame. And your image. Like what Lee was saying earlier, you need something that kind of blends in with your image. I thought this green did. A judge might not, but that's what I liked. If I'd have picked white as a border or the dark brown as the cookie, it would have been way wrong. There it is, 4,000 by 4,000, that image. That being said, an image does not need to be 4,000 by 4,000, but one of them does. Okay. At least one of them. It won't get resized if at least one of them is. So make sure it's at 4,000, not above, not below. I'll say it again. Not above, not below. All right. This is going to be really easy. Which one do you guys want to do? This one or this one? I don't care which.
Hey, Mike, did you indicate that they have to be sRGB or?
I did not, and it does and it doesn't. Realistically, when you save, because things have changed and because we're doing virtual, it's a little different. Almost everybody is on this sRGB. I don't think anyone's ever changed from it. You just have to make sure it's that profile, whether you're doing it here or Lightroom. I don't know of anybody that's not. This is a totally different color profile. And you save it as a JPEG. Okay? So you'll save whatever it is as a JPEG at the size.
Is it better to use the sRGB versus the Adobe?
Only when you're saving out. You want to edit probably in the Adobe color space because you'll have more access to colors as you're editing. But once you're ready to save it out, you need to convert it to sRGB first.
You're probably working on a PSD file in Photoshop and whatnot. But when everything gets compressed down to JPEG, it'll go sRGB.
It won't automatically unless you tell it to. So you need to make sure if you are working in the Adobe color space, that you convert it before you save it out.
What is that under preferences?
Yeah, if you go cancel and you go to image at the top. So usually what I do when I'm done with an edit and I'm ready to put it into my presentation or to the web, I will flatten everything and then I'll go into edit.
That's what I
Okay.
thought. Preference.
And then it should be, no, it's not in preferences. It's in convert to profile. Up two more. One more. Convert to profile right there. So if you click on that,
okay.
the source space will tell you Adobe RGB. Then in the profile, in the destination space, you'll change that to sRGB.
I guess I said it once. Once you said it, it's where she is.
Yeah. So I always do that, and then I'll move my document into my presentation document, and then I'll close it so I don't save over my layered file. But that way I know everything's in sRGB, and then I know everything's going to look the way I'm seeing it for the most part.
And everybody, don't forget, we will have this in the video too. So if you forget to write something down. Okay. You want to start with this one? So it's real simple. What I like to do though is take this background, drag it down, make a second copy. Now we're in an editable copy of it, and I still always have this original. All we're going to do is image, canvas size. Now image size right here changes the size of the entire image. Okay, so it'll make it bigger, smaller, whatever. The canvas size, can you see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Canvas size will change around the image. I keep thinking you can see me. It will say, so what I like to do is, now I can see inches. You can see I'm like at 50, I'm already under right here, but I'll add, you can play with it. So let's add 400. We'll say 4,000. Ooh, that's a bit much. And I'm just going to add the same amount to this one. There's other ways to do this. This is my easiest way to build it. Okay. Now we already have our mat. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a mat as big and small as it is, and we'll show you that here in a minute. Um, so so then you're going to come down here. See this little guy right here? Create a solid color. All right, it's black. I'll just make it white for right now. And all I did is we're going to make that new layer. And I made it white. It covered up the picture, right? But we're going to drag it down below. Now we have two layers. So these are still separate from each other. There's my picture layer and my solid layer. I like doing it this way with that because really then all I have to do, oops, come on. So I can come in here and I go, ooh, let's make it this color, this color. The best part about this is having this color layer. I have my little guy. I can pick colors off of our image. Now that's what Lee was talking about. He got nailed for a border that really didn't have anything to do with the picture. If you
Right.
do it like this, you'll always have a color of somewhat from your picture. What colors did you have an issue with, Lee? What,
Quite a few.
what was your border versus your picture?
One of the key things is when you do your keystroke or your accent line to ensure you're able to see it throughout the image. Now, if you pick like if you hit white and it's right on the edge, you will not see that keystroke on that smoke right there.
So
So
let
it's
me
got to be
just
something completely different.
let me just put this color in.
Yeah, it
Let's
was
just go with that.
something like that.
See how it's offset up here?
Mine went a
So-
little too dark, or they were just off color from the image.
So we've done that. Everybody's good on that. We'll do it again on another image. But did that make sense? Pretty simple. We made the picture bigger, we gave it a background. Now what he's talking about keystrokes, this little FX down here, click that, and we can come down here, we say stroke. Right here. What we've done is and you have it on this picture. I had that one selected at the time. You put what's called, a stroke around that picture. You ever seen a real mat that you buy, a cheap one?
Yeah.
It has the cuts in it or something like that. That's what we're doing. We're offsetting the color to the picture. Now, what Lee was saying, and this is too big. I'm going to tell you right now. We don't want to take away, and it's white, and we're not going to use white, but we don't want to take away from the image so much. I'm normally at 5 or 4, depending on the image. Like I said, we don't want to take away from it. And
Yeah, I was at 5 and they said it was too big.
Yeah, it depends on the image, really. It's still taking away from the airplanes. But let's just say, and Lee said he did something like this. See how that keystroke disappeared? I don't have my Wacom hooked up, so see how it's disappearing into the white? So you start losing picture into your frame. If I'd have done, so I finished it. If you want to go fix it again, you double do stroke. If I'd have done something like that, see how we're losing it? We don't want black. You could get away with a black. You can get away with maybe a darker blue. That's it. That's your basic presentation.
But one point also to make, Mike, is always use inside stroke.
Yeah. If you use an outside stroke, I should show it, but if you use an outside stroke, your corner becomes round, which is awful. We switch it to right here, switch it to an outside stroke, and we'll say, okay. See how it's rounding?
Mm.
And if you do something on a big,
every time.
if you do it, if you were to have a bigger stroke, see how it's really rounding? That's perfect. Let's send it in just like that. So inside.
Somebody had a
Um,
shadow. How do you do that?
Do what? So what I like to do for a
Shadow.
shadow, you can do an outer glow, and we're going to change the color to a darker. Nope, I wasn't on it. Cancel. Outer glow. There's. I'm using white just so you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
We could go darker. You can pick a different color if you wanted. We could go. It starts to disappear on darker colors, but you can put a shadow in. We could go beyond this. We could put another one on. You can make a new layer if you wanted. We could put another stroke out here and have the shadow go in. You can go crazy. You can also distract your image to the judges. I find, depending on what I'm doing, that the stroke and the background picture are enough. Depending on the picture. If you're doing a little more artsy thing, you might go in and do all kinds of different things to give it more of a double matte look. If everybody knows what it looks like when you have a double matte, you can do different pictures. Pretty simple, huh?
Mm.
Any questions on that one? We're gonna do it again. Who's my volunteer? Mark? Mark?
Well, that doesn't sound like a volunteer.
Oh, I voluntold. You're my voluntold. You're gonna do
All
this.
right.
You know me. I'm not just a shower. You gotta when you'll learn more when we do it. So hopefully you paid attention. Let's go. What do we do? How do I make it bigger?
Well, you're going to go up to your image and drop down to your image size. Or
Canvas size.
Canvas size. So,
Okay.
and then okay, so we're at 32. We want to be at 40 or 4,000. So we want to add that to each.
You just want to make it 4,000 now?
Yeah, let's do that.
You can do it by image size as well.
We could have, but then we still have to back down the size.
Well, if you go image size, you can back it down, but you got to ensure that your width and your length is linked together instead of being separate.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to show you right here. Okay, so how do I get that color? How do I get the color background?
Well, now you want.
Anyone
Yes.
can jump in.
Yep, I need help.
The bucket, the little paint
Phil.
bucket.
We don't want to fill this one because we're on the layer with the image.
Just
We don't want to mess with that layer that has the image.
make a
Oh,
new
then you want
layer.
to add a layer.
Make a new layer with the color that you want.
So this little guy right here, new layer, solid color. Okay. We can pick a color ahead of time if you want, but black's fine. Now what?
Slide it down underneath it.
So once again, we did that. So we don't play with that picture at all. We're going to do different things. Had we have messed with that to begin with, I can't put the stroke on then. So if that was solid right now, the stroke would go all the way around the outside of the picture that we have. It'd go on the outside of the black. So we want to keep that picture separate from everything. It also allows me later to make edits to the picture of the actual picture, and it won't affect that background again. Okay, now I want to see a stroke. Sandra,
Yes,
do you know how to do a stroke? Do you remember?
I think so.
Okay.
You go FX on the bottom there.
Okay, before we do that, we want to make sure we're on the correct level.
Right. You
Okay.
are right now, aren't you?
Now I am.
Okay. Right. So you go to the bottom where it's FX, right?
Mhm.
And then you're going to want to put a stroke that's either a 5 or a 4, probably a 4.
Stroke. Okay.
The inside.
What I like to do before I set a size, let's just give a preliminary color for starters.
Okay.
Because certain colors will look a little different, you know? So just we can pick a color. Where would you like? You want like a dark stroke? Both of these colors will disappear.
Yeah.
So if I pick this, where'd it go? I mean,
Yeah, it's too dark.
it's too dark. If I pick this one, where'd it go up here?
Yeah.
So what you can do is we could come in here and
To
you
get
could put a
that pink.
brighter green in if we
Oh,
wanted.
yeah, that looks better.
Okay. So now what? It's
Now what?
inside, so that's good.
Right. You
You
want
like that?
it looks good to me.
All right. What do we do with that background? Black is a no-no in my mind.
Right.
Anything I've judged, it doesn't go. The first
might-
thing that attracts my eye right now, other than my name, is that black background.
Yeah. Well, you might try the base that the glass is on as the color you'd like to see as the background. I mean, as the matte background.
So right here, we're going to double
Right.
click this.
Mm-hmm.
And you want what? This?
Oh, that might be too light. Well, try it.
But,
No, it's too light.
see? But once again, you can go from that color and start playing around
Yeah.
to find
that's
something you
good.
might like.
I like that.
Too dark.
That's a little too dark, I think. Maybe in between. Yeah, I like that.
What do you guys think?
Yep.
Is this something you can do in Lightroom by any chance or no?
That's the best place to do it right here. Lightroom is great for doing a lot of editing on the photo itself, but Lightroom doesn't do layers.
No, I know.
We
I just
need those
didn't know if it
layers.
added strokes and all that other kind of stuff.
Now remember, when we're not done with this image or we're quitting, this has to be saved as a PSD file. I mean, you can also do, I think, a TIFF, but PSD is the greatest way to do it because if we save this as a JPEG or whatever, it's going to mash that all down, and you're going to end up with this.
Yeah, it's mush.
You're going to end. What are you doing? Control Shift. Alt. You're going to end up with that. And it's all one layer now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know that? You know how to mash all your layers together? Get on the top layer, Control Shift Alt E, and Mac is what? Command Shift Alt E. Isn't that you, Anthony? Aren't you a Macer?
Yeah, you just swap control for command and you have the Mac shortcut.
It's a great way to flatten an image if you want, and then keep going if you're happy with the image you have. That's a matte. That's how easy that is. That's why I was using that word lazy. I mean, it's not a good word. I'm never calling people lazy, but you can take any image and make it a ton better just by that. Best way to do it though is this way. You got your color picker, and you don't necessarily have to do it. I mean, we can do pink if you want. No, no pink.
Yeah, words of suggestions before you flatten anything, save it.
Yeah, no, I never flatten stuff. Sandra Pierce will flatten everything she works on. I can't do that.
Oh, I do. I flatten things.
Now, this one to a small bit, I can see the black. I could actually see making this one black because the amount of white and colors in it. I could possibly see it. I probably wouldn't do it, but what else you guys got for me? I mean, what'd you think about this part of it at least?
I still
What?
need to understand the merits and
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go grab
Another-
that here real quick.
yeah, that's another beast.
So other things that we look for, like I said, are coloring of images. This image of here is mine, and it did merit, but there's things that I lost on it. This is a little white through here. I would have liked to have maybe see how there's a better lighting over here. I had way too much light over here. This is all a mistake, just so everybody knows. I put this all around the outside, and the minute I dropped the cookie in, all the candies on the top edge fell in and slid down. And then I did the shot one more time. So it actually made it look cool. That's a mistake.
Hey, sometimes mistakes turn out good.
So there's a million things that you can do for images. Um, I got a million to share, but I have images I'm working on right now, but I don't want anybody to see them. So I don't show them till the end. I share my pictures with one person. So, but and like I've said, um, you can share images with your friends. You can share images with me if you want or whatever. Non-photographers might see things you don't. You might see cloning on an image. Let me see. I don't think I have any banding. Uh-oh, look at that. Now, a judge cannot do this, just so you guys know. A judge sees this. But I just saw that right there. That's weird. Didn't expect that. Now I'm showing you how bad I am. I put a light on this background right here, so you can't see it, but you have to watch for banding as well. And you can do a whole bunch of different things for banding. Banding is when you see the actual lines around the circle. What else we got? Elise, do you have any Photoshop questions? No?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't want to say. I don't want to say. All right, so let's go here. Everybody's been to our website before. So here's the website. Spring seminars April 6th. I'll let Anthony talk about that in a minute. By the way, everybody, Anthony is on our board of directors. He is the vice president of FPP. He didn't mention that, so I will. So you were asking about degrees and awards. So these are where you can earn for competition. The bottom two are competition. So you have the Florida degree of photographic excellence and you have the Florida degree of artistic excellence. Those are the two categories we were talking about, photo and artist. You need a total of 30 merits to get it. 16 of them have to be those 80 and above pictures. The other 14 can be earned with service merits, which is coming to our events and helping out with something like Mark just put an email out. Mark is our convention manager. He didn't mention that either. So he just put an email out asking for people if they want to volunteer. That's where you can give merits to help go towards your degrees. You can also do 30 images if you want and no service. That's a lot of images though. So, and the same thing with artistic excellence. A total of 30 required, 16 through competition, and the rest service merits or competition merits. You can also share image if you needed, if you already had your photographic degree and you were working on your artistic degree, those artistic ones can go towards those other 14 if you want. If you go above and beyond, what you get is you start adding them up and they go towards these merit bars. So anything above the 16, you crash them in, and then you can start putting them towards that as well. I don't have any of those. Did that answer your question? This is another one that you can get. This is for service alone. I will say though, if you really want to get your degree, you put all your service points towards a degree first. You need 30 service awards to get the service points to get towards this. Well, we might as well use them for this or both. And education, this is going to our classes. It's for going to Florida school. It's for going to our seminars. and our convention. I don't, Mark, do you know how many points we get for convention? Do I have to look it up?
Yeah.
Marker.
Well, for volunteering?
No, it's not here. For school points. They're not here. But here you get them for volunteering, you get them for mentoring, the affiliates, judging. We get them for judging? I never got any for judging. Classes and whatnot. So you get one, you can earn points through the education as well for attending those events.
And also if you attend a different school from another organization too. Remember we had that change because we didn't have
Yeah.
FPP anymore. We got approved that if we go to Texas school, then you get educational merit work. It's not as many if you go to Florida school, but
Anthony, do we have that update anywhere? Where you
About
guys
what?
updating to where education degree would get points from other schools? I wasn't there when it got passed.
yeah, just go back to last year, Anthony, because I made a motion or a sheet and it got passed.
Can you just look that up and then just let me know?
Yeah.
So we wanting to know if you get educational merits from attending schools,
Like
other
Texas
schools. I think if they're PPA affiliated, let me see. Let me
I'm
double
gonna
check.
stop this
I
recording.
do
guys.
remember it. Let me see if I can go find the meeting minutes. Was it one of our in-person meetings, Lee?
Yeah, it was one of the, proposal sheets. I filled it out, brought it in. We talked about it, and the gist of the requirement was based on, since SEPA is no longer, an affiliate, and we don't get points for going to there anymore. We said, hey, if you go to, Texas school or one of the other PPA affiliate schools, then you get the points, but it's not as many points as you go to Florida. So it's like
Right.
1 point or something like that.
That was at Dana's house. That's right.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get into the drive here and I'll see if I can find that real quick.
If you went to the Florida school last year, do you automatically get points or do you have to enter somehow into the degree?
They would have put it in for you.
Yeah, they should have been. You could always email learnwithfpp@gmail.com and